Hey guys, I'm Mike. I'm a general practitioner working in Greater Manchester, UK. And in this short video, I want to share with you my take on secondary hypertension. We'll do this by going through the most common cause of secondary hypertension, and then one of the most dangerous ones, the not to be missed cause. Finally, if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you a brilliant resource with guidelines that I used to help create this video, and that has now become completely free for all NHS staff. So let's get started. Now, I'm a GP, I love guidelines, I love protocols, basically anything that will make our life easier whilst navigating the complexity and variety of everyday general practice. Sadly though, there are no good pathways for secondary hypertension and it is super complicated. On the other hand, a lot of areas will have special clinics that you can refer into if you are suspecting secondary hypertension. And there are exactly 4 reasons why you would consider a diagnosis of secondary hypertension. The first one, if your patient is under 40. The second one, uncontrolled on 4 drugs. The third one, previously well controlled, but now out of control, despite ruling out any compliance issues. And the fourth one, basically, if you can recognize any of the characteristics of the secondary hypertension conditions. So let's start talking about 2 of these conditions. The first one's going to be the most common one, and the second one of the most dangerous ones. The first one is Conn syndrome, primary hyperaldosteronism. 5% of hypertensive patients are thought to have this condition. There is just too much aldosterone, which causes sodium reabsorption in the kidneys in exchange for potassium, which then gets excreted in the urine. And so, exam question here, Conn syndrome can be associated with hypokalemia, so with low potassium. Whilst we are talking about urinary excretion, another symptom is polyuria or nocturia. PA can run in families, and it can sometimes be caused by an aldosterone-producing adenoma or by bilateral adrenal hyperplasia. This subtype can respond to surgery, so it's really important to pick up. In terms of investigations and tests, all hypertensive patients are having USE, so you would look at their potassium, and you could do an aldosterone-renin ratio. Just remember, if you are doing this test, there are a lot of restrictions in terms of how to do the test, so please look at the instructions online. Number 2, pheochromocytoma. Now, you might recognize from the NICE diagnostic hypertensive pathway, that bit that's highlighted in red or yellow or made bold. Basically, if your patient's blood pressure is more than 180 over 120, consider admission. Well, I have had patients with blood pressure that high. I don't always admit. Sometimes I'll recheck it once, recheck it twice, try the other arm, say a little prayer, try the other arm. I've never seen a patient with pheochromocytoma, but I have heard of GPs that got in trouble for missing it. So let's dive in. There is a classic triad of symptoms associated with pheochromocytoma that you need to remember. Number 1, diaphoresis, excessive sweating. Number 2, palpitations, and number 3, headaches. Now, these can come in paroxysms, but they do get gradually worse over time. Another one to remember is that during these attacks, your patients can become quite pale. Pheochromocytoma is caused by a catecholamine-producing adenoma, commonly in the adrenal gland. And it can also run in families. It's thought that about 40% of pheochromocytomas are familial. In terms of investigations and tests, if there is a low probability, so you have a patient who doesn't have that classic triad, you could consider doing a 24-hour urinary measurement of catecholamines. Now, this is a good test because it's very specific, and specificity is a test's ability to rule out a condition. If you feel there's a high probability, I would probably just refer. Right, so I promised you a bonus at the end. A brilliant new resource has become free for all NHS staff, and I want to show that to you now. So let's get into our CCG newsletter, and that's where I found this information. So here it is. I'm just gonna sign in here, log in. Okay, so we just have to find the relevant bit. Boring, boring, boring. Obviously, this isn't boring. I'm just joking here. I actually read the whole newsletter from start to finish every week, and that's how I found out about this resource. But it's right here. Primary care training and development. Scroll down, there it is, BMJ Best Practice. I've included the links in the description below. I mean, this is a brilliant resource. It has a bit of a secondary care slant, which is sometimes exactly what we want if we want to learn a bit more about a condition, and CKS just says refer. Right, that's it guys. I hope that was informative. If you have any issues, please leave them in the comments below. If you'd like to see more of these videos, please subscribe. You can also email me directly. Otherwise, good luck.